Hi, Judge Andrew Napolitano here, and you're on Freedom Watch with my friend and good colleague, Juan Williams, Fox News political analyst and author of the terrific book, We the People. Juan, President Trump has not transitioned from being the polarizing figure he was during the campaign. Do you see him doing anything differently in the weeks and months ahead to bring both sides of the aisle together, or is he going to be as divisive as he's been in the past 8 or 9 or 10 months?
Well, I think right now the emphasis from the Trump White House is to stir their base, to get their base in gear to respond to some of the anger they've seen coming from the left at town hall meetings, to see some kind of response to the poor poll numbers that the president's been putting up. Wall Street Journal recent poll had him in the low 40s. Most of the polls, Gallup and the like, similarly position him as the least popular in terms of approval, Judge, president of the modern era. So he's upset about this, and he feels the need to rev his base up. You'll see some rallies coming up in the next few days of Trump supporters. And part of that, of course, is the president going before a joint session of Congress, again, on a national television audience to try to stir that base.
So you see more what we saw at the end of the inaugural address, the clenched fist, not the open arms and outstretched palms.
You know, it's so interesting because I think to a lot of people in my position, your position, Judge, we say, boy, we've never seen anybody like Donald Trump,
right?
A president who's a populist. He gets people really who previously were Democrats, people who maybe didn't vote before, out. Is he going to be the candidate that heals the partisan divide in Washington? Obama exacerbated it. But in fact, it may be the case that Trump is more polarizing even than Obama. At the moment, Democrats, I think it's only 9% of Democrats approve. On the other hand, Republicans overwhelmingly approve of President Trump. So at this point, it doesn't look to be much prospect for a kumbaya moment.
Our colleagues on Fox and Friends, who were privileged to interview the president yesterday for about an hour, asked him about leaks and difficulties in his administration and President Obama. I want you to take a listen to his answer, and then we'll talk about it.
No, I think that President Obama is behind it because his people are certainly behind it. And some of the leaks possibly come from that group. You know, some of the leaks, which are really very serious leaks because they're very bad in terms of national security.
Isn't it inconceivable that former President Barack Obama would be behind leaks involving matters of national security?
You know, Judge, I just have to shake my head. I want to be so respectful of the President of the United States. I want to give him all deference. He may know something that I don't know. But there's no evidence. You know, there've been follow-up questioning. What do we know? What do you know? Can you give us some reason that you said this? Nothing. But his suspicion, I guess, is based on the idea that you see people at the town hall meetings.
Right.
I think he suspects that there are people in the State Department, as well as in the national security apparatus, the intelligence agencies, who are not friendly to him and maybe have some leftover loyalty to President Obama. But to say that President Obama is behind this, unless you're going to put up something and show us what you've got, I think that approaches calumny against a former president. You don't hear presidents talk about each other in this way. Certainly not President George W. Bush, who, as you've told me, is a model of discretion and allowing the next president to do his job. So for the current president to be firing back at the other president, This reminds me of the question you asked a moment ago about the partisan divide. Is there any evidence that Trump wants to heal it? No.
Is it possible, you think, in his mind, he views a statement like Barack Obama and his people are behind these serious leaks, Barack Obama or his people, is intended to gin up the base?
That's exactly what, I mean, that's the only way I
can
What
other reason would there be for saying something like that, absent demonstrable public evidence to support it?
I don't know. I mean, again, I think he feels the need right now to stir his base. When he goes before the joint session of Congress, part of it, I think, is to reach out to that base and remind them that he is their guy. The minute that you start to see some of the Republicans on Capitol Hill in the Congress move away from President Trump And already you're starting to see this on the Russia investigation front, a little bit of leakage there. You see Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell say, oh, yeah, it was a change election for the White House, but not for the Senate. And you see him trying to create a little distance in case things get a little shaky with the Trump White House. And the opinion polls, the town hall meetings indicate that's somewhat taking place now.
Right.
I think that then you start to have to wonder, and President Trump has to wonder, are Republicans going to remain loyal to me no matter what? And I think that's his goal when he says things like, oh, it was that President Obama. You know, that guy we all hated on? It's
Right.
him.
I agree with you that there is a little bit of perceptible movement away from him by some Republicans.
Yeah.
But I think you will agree with me, there is zero movement toward him by any Democrats. None.
Zero. So, I mean, it's interesting. In the Wall Street Journal poll that came out earlier this week, it indicated that Trump's support among people who didn't vote Judge, or people who hated Hillary Clinton so much that they then crossed lines and voted for Trump,
Right.
that they're still like, oh, well, we don't know. But among Democrats and among independents, his numbers, not good.
Juan Williams, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure, Judge. Good to be with you, my friend.
Thank you. From New York, defending freedom whenever they let me, Judge Andrew Napolitano. See you next time, America.